Hi, welcome to Agarathi. I'm Amelia, your AI presenter. Our topic today is the Sovereign Wealth Fund. But first, I'd like to update you at the outset that the content for this video is generated by using generative AI. What is this Sovereign Wealth Fund? Sovereign Wealth Fund is a state-owned investment fund that is made up of money generated by the government, often derived from a country's surplus reserves. Sovereign wealth funds invest globally in a variety of asset classes, such as stocks, real estate, bonds, and precious metals. Sovereign wealth funds are pools of money that are owned and managed by governments, and they're typically used for things like investing in domestic or foreign assets, saving for future generations, or stabilizing a country's economy. The history of sovereign wealth funds dates back to the 1950s, when countries like Kuwait and Saudi Arabia began establishing these funds to invest their oil revenues. But it wasn't until the 2000s that they really began to become a major force in the global economy. There are a few reasons why sovereign wealth funds became so important in the 2000s. First, the oil boom of the early 2000s led to a massive increase in the wealth of many oil-producing countries, and their sovereign wealth funds grew rapidly as a result. Second, the financial crisis of 2008 to 2009 caused many governments to turn to their sovereign wealth funds to stabilize their economies and provide stimulus. Third, the rise of emerging economies like China and India led to a huge increase in demand for investments from sovereign wealth funds. All of these factors combined to make sovereign wealth funds a powerful and influential force in the global economy. Some notable examples include the Government Pension Fund of Norway, which is often considered the largest and most well-known sovereign wealth fund in the world. Then there's the Abu Dhabi Investment Authority, which is one of the largest and most influential funds in the Middle East. In Asia, there's the China Investment Corporation, which is one of the largest and fastest-growing funds in the world. And finally, in North America, there's the Alaska Permanent Fund, which is a large and well-respected fund that's often cited as a model for other funds. The primary purpose of a sovereign wealth fund is to manage a nation's wealth for the benefit of its current and future generations. They are created with the aim to generate long-term returns, and thus play a significant role in a country's financial security. So where do sovereign wealth funds typically get their money from? Well, a few different sources. The most common source is natural resource revenues, like oil, gas, or mining. For example, the largest sovereign wealth fund in the world, Norway's Government Pension Fund, gets most of its money from oil and gas revenues. Other sources of money for sovereign wealth funds include foreign exchange reserves, government budget surpluses, and sometimes even privatization proceeds. In some cases, the money comes from more than one source. So it really depends on the fund. There are usually three main types of sovereign wealth fund: savings funds, stabilization funds, and development funds. They all have slightly different goals and strategies. If sovereign wealth fund is used for investing in infrastructure, education or healthcare, then it can very well be counted as part of the fiscal stimulus measures. However, it's worth noting that not all sovereign wealth fund investments are explicitly for fiscal stimulus. Sometimes they're just meant to generate a financial return for the government. Sovereign wealth funds are not without controversy. Critics argue that they lack transparency and can be used for political purposes. One is that the government might not get as much political credit for the economic benefits of the investments made by the sovereign wealth fund. For example, if a sovereign wealth fund invests in infrastructure projects that create jobs and stimulate the economy, the government might not get as much credit for that if it's not considered fiscal stimulus. Another implication is political parties from the opposition might worry that the government of the day might walk away with credit for any growth achieved from such investments. Another controversy that could ensue from such investments is that it could make it harder to compare the economic performance of countries that have sovereign wealth funds. Despite these criticisms, the importance of these funds in the global economy is undeniable. In conclusion, sovereign wealth funds serve as a tool for countries to invest their surplus wealth. They play a critical role in managing a country's financial stability and ensuring a secure future for its citizens. As global economic landscapes continue to evolve, the role of sovereign wealth funds is likely to become even more significant.